Let's play some APBA golf. Today I'm going to be resuming play at Birthplace, which is APBA's version of St. Andrews. And in the previous video, I used Justin Rose to play the front nine, and I'm going to use him again to play the back nine. So let's go ahead and get started. In case you didn't see that earlier video, I'll just do a brief recap for you in terms of how the game caddy is set up and what our conditions are. So probably the best thing to do is to show you how the game caddy is set up. So I'm just going to press Control O here to call up the configuration settings menu, and this setup is the same as what we had in the first video. I want to just point out that we've got under the wind controls here, I've set this to be modified wind, and we're going to have the game caddy do all the rolls automatically, and we're going to be checking for wind on each shot. I haven't changed any of the settings here from the default settings other than the wind controls. So go ahead and apply those settings. We'll jump down here to the scorecard and show you that through 9, Justin Rose is 3 under par, logging in 33. And of course, Birthplace is a par 72. You know, doing well, hitting all the fairways, 78% greens in regulation. Not a lot of putt distance, particularly for a course like Birthplace, where at this point he's only got 34.5 feet of total putt length in terms of putts that are made, and of course the longest putt was 10 feet out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and load hole number 10 on Birthplace. Whoops, I have really trouble making the mouse go where I want it to go sometimes. All righty. A little drama here while the game caddy calls up the appropriate screen for us. Okay, hole number 10, and I'll go ahead and click on OK. Now, last time I went over how you handle wind on Birthplace. I'm not going to repeat everything that I said before, but as a reminder, we are playing with moderate wind, which means we'll be using the wind charts that are printed on each hole, and we have a type B wind, so I'll be using that column for moderate wind. We're also using pin number 2, and the playing course conditions are soft, so we'll lose 5 yards on the fairway, won't be affected on the green. Let me go ahead and put a marker here for number 2 pin location to the right of the center line there towards the front of the green. And you can see the hole called Bobby Jones here. It's a par 4, 386 yards. And today it may play a little bit shorter than that for us, since the pin location is near the front of the green. Go back over here to the caddy tab and can see, yeah, the pin location is at 375, left 10. So let's see what our wind is going to be here for the tee shot. Click the all-in-one menu. And here's our wind controls. 23 is the dice roll. And I'm just going to go ahead and look over here on the wind chart for the hole, and we have no wind for our tee shot. So again, I know you can't see the blue button that's behind the course that you're looking at, but I'm just clicking the continue button there to enter that information into the game caddy. Okay, so you can see that we've got wind bushes over on the left, and we have deep bunkers sort of scattered throughout on this hole, but more so on the right side of the center line. Let's take a look at the area where this tee shot is most likely to land. So I'll come over here and I will enlarge that so we can take a better look at it. Okay, so I'm thinking the tee shot's probably going to land somewhere in that vicinity right there. And as such, you know, if I aim to the, you know, distance isn't going to be a problem. He doesn't have enough distance to reach the green here, particularly this being a par 4. But I'm tempted to try to stay out of those wind bushes and avoid the deep bunker if I can. So I want to cut down on the right and left variation. I think I'm going to go with a 4 wood here, and I'm going to aim a little bit to the right. So a 4 wood in the 4 column is 240 yards. We don't have any wind, so that would put the ball somewhere in this vicinity. So if we aim to the right, and we're not going to, with a 4 wood, we're certainly not going to get enough roll to reach that deep bunker there, right here. So let's aim. I'm going to aim 15 to the right. That hopefully will, unless we get a really horrible roll, that should put us on the fairway on the right side of the center line, which would then give us a good angle for the next shot. So I'll click on 4 wood here, and I'm going to aim 15 to the right. That will cost us 5 yards in terms of distance. Okay, let's just take the roll and see what we get. 24, that's a 4. That's his average W. So I think we'll be in good shape. I'm going to go ahead and put a 4 in there. We'll take that average W, reduce the right movement by 5 yards, and take the shot. So that shot goes 235, right 20. So 10, 15, 20. So it hits right here. And then we just get 10 yards of fairway roll. So we end up in great shape. Go ahead and put the 10 adjusted roll in here and update. Now, if by some miracle I should get through, you know, most of this back 9 without being in a wind bush or a deep bunker, I will talk a little bit about what you do when you find yourself in that situation. But let's cross that bridge when we come to it, because, you know, there are other opportunities for those things to happen, and it would make more sense to talk about them at the time. All right, let's see what the wind is for the second shot. Clicking on the all-in-one menu. We got a roll of 56, so this time we're going to have some wind. And that wind is going to be a carry of 15. Okay. So now our carry objective is 120. We have a good angle. I'm going to aim 10 left because of that. Let's see what club we want to use. 3 in the I column. Sand wedge. That'll hit there, and then it'll roll back 5. Oh, so yeah, we got soft conditions today. If I go with a gap wedge and knock it down, that's going to make a couple of changes. It's going to, without overcomplicating this, of course, if I knock down a gap wedge, it's going to shorten that carry distance of 130 to, can't remember if it's 125 or 120, and then this wind is going to be cut in half, and then we're going to have, you know, to deal with the rounding part on that. But I would rather be long and on the green than be short and in the fairway. So I am going to do that. I'm going to hit a gap wedge. I'm going to knock it down. I suspect we're going to overshoot the pin here. But it is what it is. So a 31 is a 3, which is his average eye. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce that distance to the left. So our shot, if I'm doing all the math correctly in my head, would be still 10 to the left. Yeah, so we land at 245, excuse me, what I don't know, I said 245. We land at 370 left 10. Huh. I thought this ball would go farther than that. I guess when you knock down a gap wedge, you must lose at least 10 yards carry distance. It's one of these things I don't have memorized. So the ball is going to land, to give you a better look here. The ball is going to land 370 left 10 is going to land right there, and then we're going to back up 5. So we actually didn't accomplish what set out to do. We lost 5 yards, so this is going to end up 365. Well, let me put the -5 in there. So it's going to end up 365 left 10, which is in the fairway. So we'll update that. Okay. And it's still updating. There we go. So now it's in the notes. And, you know, I can actually putt from this distance. So we're 10 yards from the pin. So I could, if I wanted to, certainly, you know, hit that shot, you know, using the approach caddy. But I can also putt from this distance. And the only hesitancy I have of doing this is that you may not be able to see everything I'm doing because of where the course is positioned on the Game Caddy screen here. So rather than try to move that to a different location, I'm just going to describe what I'm doing. I don't know if I can scroll down here enough for you to be able to see. Maybe I can. If I put that down there, yeah, you should be able to see everything okay. I just thought of that. Okay, so I'm going to use the putter off green tool. But, you know, before I use that, we've got to figure out what our putt distance would be. So the rule is that you, you know, move one column farther away, and I'm talking about putting columns farther away for every square you are off the green. And you can only do this when your lie is in the fairway. So we are 1 square off the green. I think that you can see that probably pretty well. And we are 2 squares or 2 straights away from the actual pin location. So I'm going to go up here using the putting caddy. I'm going to put 2 in here, and I'm going to click calc. Right. So we've got our putt distance is 23 feet. And you'll notice the lie is still on the fairway. And I'm not going to hit the ball on green tool at this point. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. And these boxes all had a different use in earlier versions of the Game Caddy. If you're using the all-in-one menu and, you know, version 5.2 point whatever, you know, you should never have to deal with the approach boxes here that say 75 to 100 and so forth down to 15, 20, or 510. But there will be times, such as this one, when you do want to use the putter off green tool. So I'm just going to click on that. And it's asking me, are you chipping with the putter? Okay, and I am, right? So I'm going to use a putter, but I'm off the green, so technically I'm chipping. So I'll say yes. All right, and this is all done automatically. All right, so it recognizes that I'm chipping from a distance of 23 feet because that's what I just showed you in the initial putt distance in the Game Caddy notes. Okay, my dice roll for that chip is a 51. So I look up what the result is on Rose's card using the P column because in essence we're putting here, right? So that number is a 17, which is a pretty good number actually for a 51 in the P column, right? But then what I've got to do is I've got to come over here to the column that says 23 feet, and then I've got to jump over to this one, and you have to go for it in this situation. So whenever you're using this tool, you have to go for it. In other words, when you're chipping with your putter from off the green. I'm just going to move this out of the way so things are a little bit easier to see. So I'm using the 25 to 29 foot distance column, and I got that roll, which is a 17, which means the ball ends up 4 feet away. So it wasn't, I probably would have gotten a similar result had I actually just chipped from, 10 yards out. But in many cases, you'll increase the likelihood of sinking the putt or sinking the shot, I should say, on when you are able to putt or chip using the putter off the green. You have a better chance of putting the ball in the hole, is what I'm trying to say, versus actually using one of the approach clubs in order to do that. But you can also end up, being pretty far away if you don't put the ball in the hole. So, but we're going to be 4 feet. So I'll just come down here and I'll stick a 4 in that box there, and the game caddy will take care of the rest of that for me. So that was just a little bonus thing to be able to show you. And thankfully, the game caddy reset itself back to its original orientation. So you can see now I didn't do anything further other than put that number in and close that box. The game caddy automatically filled in that we're on the green, and it changed that 23 to a 4 for the initial putt distance. So now we'll go over to the player putting board again, and now we'll putt from 4 feet. 52 is a 21 from 4 feet, and that is in. Okay, and you can see 4 strokes. We had a ball in the fairway. We didn't get the green in regulation because the ball ended up rolling off the green, and we only actually had one official putt, and that was the 4-foot putt. That one from 23 feet was a chip shot, even though we used the putter. And that was a chip shot because we were not physically on the green. Okay, a lot of explanation on that particular hole. Let's move on to hole number 11. And I'll back this out a little bit for you. And scoot this down so you can see more of the hole. Our pin placement is going to be here, and this is a tricky pin placement, even though it's close to the center line, because as you'll see when we get to the hole notes, if you go right or land on this purple line here or go right of it, you bounce an additional, I think it's 15 yards to the right. So you don't end up with a reasonably makeable putt if you end up going too far right, going for this particular pin location. Okay, let me come back here and load the hole. This is the hole, by the way. If you watch the first video, you'll know this, in which I've had 3 holes in one. But I've also played a lot of rounds on it, right? So I think I told you 271. All right, hole 11. Let's see what our wind is. It would have been nice if we would have birdied that last hole, because that would have given us a chance to use a momentum point. Although he has an odd number in the I column, so it would have pushed us no closer than the center line. All right, so a 54. And on this hole, that results in a carry of 15 yards with moderate wind. Put the 15 in there. Click continue. And you can see our carry objective now is 150. So, as I was saying before, balls landing, rolling onto red crosshairs, roll to nearest point in sand trap and stop. That would be these over here. And then, and it looks like we have a little bit over here as well. And then this is the purple line. shots landing, rolling on the green, on or right of that purple line, roll an additional 15 yards to the right. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave the view of the course backed out at this distance. And let's figure out what club I want to use. 3 in the I column is a 9-iron. And that won't get any roll. I think we're just going to hit a 9-iron. I'm not working the ball, that's for sure. I don't want to take that chance. Even though he's rated an A, working the ball to the right, I don't want to end up adding another 15 yards if I can avoid it. All right, so let's go. Take the shot, 66. Well, he ended up with an odd number. Let's see, no. He ended up with an even number. He got a 2. And in the I column. So this shot ends up going 170 right 5. So he's going to overshoot the hole a little bit here. Move this around. But we're not on that purple line, so that's good. So this is, if the hole's at 165 right 5, so this would be 170 right 5, and we get no roll. So that's actually a great shot for him, right? That's probably as close as he could have hoped to get to the hole. So that's 1 straightaway. So he's got a 5-footer for a birdie opportunity here. Let's go over the putting boards. Roll. 32 is a 20 from 5 feet, and that's in. And again, if you didn't watch the first video, you might not know this, but I am using the major tournament putting boards for this hole, just to add to the difficulty a little bit, since it's, as you can see, it's easy to make fairways and greens in regulation. I think this gives you a little bit more realistic scoring when you use major tournament for Birthplace. So that ball's in. And we got our birdie. All right, move on to hole 12 here. Okay, this is a par 4. It's going to play 350 yards, left 15. That's going to be our pin placement right there. You got wind bushes to the right and left of the front of the green, but not sitting right on the fairway there. But if you hit a driver and go too far or in either direction, you're likely to end up in a wind bush, and you've got deep bunkers at about 255, 250, right on the center line and a little bit to the right, and then you've got another deep bunker right in front of the green on the center line at about 315. So the ideal shot hits about here and rolls to about there, or somehow goes right or left of the center line enough that you can actually reach the green with some of the longer ball hitters. But unless we have a tailwind, that's not going to be a possibility with Rose, I don't think. So let's see what the wind looks like. We've got a 46 and a 46 in the moderate column. Oh, so we actually got a headwind. So minus 10 carry and 10 right. So he's definitely not going to reach the green with his tee shot. He does have a momentum. I think this is a good time to take it, particularly since he has an even number, which can put us on the right side of the center line, and then he can have a good angle there for his next shot. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to use a momentum here, so I'll just go ahead and mark that down so I don't forget. And I think that actually I used the momentum on the front nine too. I had to do some editing to the game Caddie after I last played, and I think I forgot to put these numbers back in. So anyway, I'm pretty sure that I've already used at least one momentum for him. So this will be his second one. And let's see where a driver would put him. So a 4 columns, 265 is going to lose 10. That's going to be 255. I can't aim, so it's going to go 10 to the right plus, due to the wind, and then that would be another 15. That would be 25 to the right. So we got 255. Wow, it just clears that bunker there. And then it's going to be over in here somewhere, depending on whether I choose to take the average W, and I think I certainly will. Yeah, worst case scenario, I think, is I'm going to end up in the intermediate rough, which will be treated as fairway if I'm within approach distance. I don't think I'm going to reach that wind bush. So I'm definitely going to hit a driver. We'll put the number 4 in there. I'm going to go ahead and take the average W to reduce some of that distance to the right. And we'll take this shot. And it goes 255, right 20. And I'll zoom in a little bit here now. Kind of see what this hole looks like. All right. So move it just a little bit that way. There we go. So 255, right 20. So that's 255, 10, 20. Yep, we got past them. And then we're going to get 20 roll. 10, 20. Yeah, we're in the fairway. Perfect. Come over here and put in the adjusted roll. So 275, right 20. I'll update that shot. Game Caddie's taking a little bit longer to do some things today. For reasons I don't really understand. The backup program that I use for my whole computer, not for the Game Caddie. Whenever I run a full backup, and I normally do that on Friday nights, but this week I did it last night, which was Saturday night. For whatever reason, my computer takes a lot longer to do stuff the next day. I'm assuming some cache gets cleared out, or I don't know exactly. This is not a Game Caddie issue. This is a Scott's computer backup program issue. But I'm hoping that this will get better the more we play, and it's not all that bad to begin with. But I'm trying to explain why you're sitting and waiting for the Game Caddie to do some stuff that normally it would do much more quickly. All right, so we are 85 yards out from that particular pin. We may have some wins. We click on the all-in-one menu, see what we got here. See, this is kind of an example of that. Normally that would pop up right away. So 54 is minus 20. Oh, this is interesting. This could minus 20, 10 right. Okay. Thought this was going to be really simple, but it gets a little more complicated when we got all that wind to deal with. Click on continue. All right, so you can see what's happening. The approach caddy is going to default to where that pin location is, since I have a good angle, which is 350 left 15. But because of that wind, and we've got full wind because we're 75 plus yards out from the pin, where the Game Caddie is actually thinking we're targeting, because it's taking the wind into account here, is at 330 left 5, which doesn't even reach the green, or barely reaches the green. So we've got to make an adjustment here, and I would prefer to stay with the approach caddy than to shut it off, which I could do by clicking this button here, and then that would put the WI shot planner back into effect. But I would prefer not to do that, simply because you can control a little bit more about your shot when you're taking an approach shot versus when you're taking a sand wedge, gap wedge, or whatever WI club you choose. So, but let's see how we do this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this target number, okay? And at some point, I can't go over 100 for the call distance here. So if I add, we got a minus 20 on the carry, but if I add 20, I'm pretty sure that that's going to take us over, right? So yeah, so it goes to 105 as I would have expected it to. So let's make it 365. All right, and we want to be left 15 if possible, because that's where the pin location is. So but I could end up going over 100 again by going farther to the left. So let's see what happens if I put a 25 in here. The Game Caddie does all this math. I can't do it all in my head. Yeah, see, I was afraid of that because the Game Caddie's taking in that right to left distance there. And even if I put a 20 in, oh, okay, I'm good with that. So it accepts a 20. When it counts everything out, it says we're okay with that. So I'm going to aim for 365.20. I'm going to target 365.20. So there's the pin location at 350 left 15. So let's go 65, 10, 20. I'm actually targeting. Oh, you can't even see that. I'm targeting that location where the green ball marker is pointing to. That's where I'm targeting, and I'm hoping that the wind. I'm not hoping. I know it will. There's nothing that's going to modify this wind. It's going to blow the ball backwards in that direction, and it's going to blow it to the right. So from west to east. Our call distance is 100, so I'll go ahead and click on 75 to 100. I'll roll the dice, and let's just see what happens. So a 13 in the A column is a 3. So that's normally a pretty good shot. Let's see what happens here. All right, so the ball ends up at 345 left 10. So I'll get rid of that so you're not confused by it. 345 is going to be left 10 is going to be one diagonal away. So you can see what a huge difference the wind made on that particular shot. So we end up one diagonal away. It also tells you why it's important to get a good angle if you can too, because you got a lot more latitude in terms of where you can target if you have a good angle. Unfortunately, we didn't get a great dice roll here with one diagonal, so we're going to be 16 feet away for our birdie opportunity. All right, there we go. It's registered in. Let's go over to the putting boards. We'll go for it from 16 feet. 45 is a 17. And that's going to leave it 2 feet away. And then par putt here, 64 is a 23, and that's definitely good. 1 to 30 is in. Okay. All right, so we got a par. Again, if I weren't explaining all this to you in a video, I'd be long done with this hole. But I wanted to help you understand the strategy and the logic behind what I was doing there, especially for newer APBA golfers and Game Caddie players. All right, let's go over to 13. Back this out some for you. Okay. Here's what 13 looks like. This is another par 4. Go ahead and load the hole. Okay, and so this hole is going to play 460 right 5. Got the pin location here almost, I guess, in the center of the green now. Well, not center in terms of its circumference, but center in terms of the center line. And it's just, 5 right of the center line. And it's about in the middle from front to back. But we got some deep bunkers that we'll have to worry about on our second shot, I think. So let's zoom in and take a look at what we're dealing with for our tee shot. Okay. So we got all kinds of problems over here left of the center line at a typical driving distance for either a 4-wood or a driver. I want to stay away from the left of the center line. I want to aim more for this area over here. I certainly don't want to end up in the wind bushes down here or over here if I can help it. And then if I hit the ball really far, I could end up over or wide. I could end up in the rough, and I prefer not to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim right and use a 4-wood, and that, these guys should be able to hit the green in regulation, given how far they hit the ball. So I'm not going to, maximum distance isn't the major concern right here. So I'm going to aim 15 right. It's going to cost me 5 yards there. Well, let me see what the wind is first. I'm assuming that the wind is not going to be a big factor here, but you don't know until you actually know what the wind is. 34. So 34 is, we lose an additional 5 yards. Okay. With a headwind. All right. And I don't want to hit a driver. There's just too many ways I could end up in a lot of trouble doing that. So I'll hit a 4-wood, and we're 15 to the right, a 16, an 11. Okay, and we'll take the shot. So we ended up going left anyway. So 230, left 15. You can see, I aimed 15 to the right, but the shot went 30 left, which is for a 4-wood about as bad as it gets. But, hopefully we didn't outsmart myself here. So 230, 15 left, 1, 2, 3. But we don't get a lot of roll. So 1, 2, 3. Well, we're in great shape. We're sitting there in the fairway right in front of a regular sand trap, but we're not in that sand trap. If we rolled another 5 yards, yes, but we didn't. Okay, we're directly in front of it. So I'll put the 15 down here for the adjusted roll, which didn't need to be adjusted. 245 left 15, fairway. We actually have a good angle and could aim if we wanted to. I don't know how. We want to end up on the green. I don't want to be in those wind bushes that are right over there. So let me back this out a little bit so you can see the whole field, or at least more of it. There we go. So these are the wind bushes that I'm concerned with. I don't want to aim right and then go right and somehow have a shot that goes there. I've also got this to have to deal with, or if I hit long, I have this I have to deal with in terms of deep bunkers. So I'm not, even though I could aim, I'm not going to aim, I don't think. Again, I'll look at the wind here. If the wind's going to blow me way to the left, I might aim. I could change my mind. The wind seems to be blowing us right more than anything, 55. So we don't get blown right or left, but we do lose 15 yards on carry. All right, so now our carry objective is 235. So 4 in the W column. 4 wood is 240. That's more club than we need. And of course, you can't knock down any of these clubs above this black line. Only ones you can knock down are the 5-iron and higher, if you want to think of it that way. So he's got a 2-iron in his bag. That would go 215. Yeah, that's the club to use here, is the 2-iron. And I'm not going to aim. I'm just going to hit a regular old 2-iron shot. And if I was going to aim, I might even aim left just to avoid that deep bunker on the right. But let's see what happens. 42. is a 4 in the W column. I will take the average W on that. And that's going to put us at 440 on the center line. Actually, maybe I shouldn't have even taken it. I was having deep bunker panic and didn't really think about where this might actually end up. So 460, 450, 440 right on the center line is there. And then we're going to get 15 green roll. 1, 2, 3. So we end up one diagonal away, which is okay. If I hadn't taken that average W, we would have been one straight away because it would have been 5 yards farther to the right. But I'll take it. As you can tell, I don't have these boards memorized. I know a lot of what the outcomes are, and there's a part of me that doesn't want to memorize everything. It's, somehow that you got to know enough to take an educated guess at where the ball's going to be. But and again, if you play differently, if you want to check the board every time, the club's boards every time before you take a shot, fine. Whatever makes you happiest in terms of playing. I just don't care to play that way. There are enough things to slow me down that I don't want to add to it. I know these results well enough to play a pretty decent round most of the time. So the one diagonal away turns out to be 11 feet, and that'll be our birdie opportunity here. And if I did want to check the clubs, a way I could do it. So, for example, if I had wanted to do this, right? What's this? There we go. I could have come over here and clicked on 2-iron. See these boxes right here, and it actually applies to these down here. But this is the only use that these boxes have. If I click on 2-iron here, okay, what it's going to do is it's going to jump me to this clubs tab here, and it's going to show me what the potential shot results are. So if I had wanted to come over here and study, all right, what's the likely carry? How much left and right movement do you get for shots that are, within this range? How much fairway roll am I likely to get? How much green roll? Of course, I wasn't working the ball, but if I, had been, I could have come over here and I could have, looked at all that first in terms of planning my shot. But I just let my experience playing the game dictate my club choices at this point. And sometimes I nail it, sometimes I don't get it right at all. But I wanted to show you that if you wanted to do that, you certainly could do that. All right, so we're on the green. Now we're going to go back to the putting boards here. Justin Rose, 11 feet. He'll go for it. 65 is an 18 from 11 feet. Is in. All right. So that diagonal versus a straightaway did not hurt us at all. Okay. Let's move on to 14. You can see that, playing Birthplace, and it's true of other courses, or at least in terms of how I play, there's a lot of defensive strategy here. You're looking at not how can I get the maximum, or the optimal outcome. It's how can I avoid trouble? How can I avoid a big number that's just going to spoil a round, right? So I'm making decisions that are really conservative. Now, if it was at the end of a tournament and it was coming down to the wire, and I might make different decisions under those circumstances. But generally, I'm trying to get a decent score. I'm not trying to make history when I play, and I certainly don't want to make history in the other direction. Meaning, I don't want to get the worst round score ever either. So. But that's just my style of play, and if you like to play differently, you go for it. The game caddy will let you do it. I don't want to tell you how you should play. That's entirely up to you and your caddy, whoever that is. Okay, so this is a par 5, and this is kind of one of those interesting par 5s where you can actually aim on the second shot. Let me mark our pin placement. It's way back here, left of the center line. And on the tee shot, you can really get yourself in trouble if you don't aim way left, because you can see the out of bounds there actually is on the center line up to about 230, and then you get a little wiggle room past that, but you don't want to tempt fate, right? And so the real risk that you run is, if you aim way left, is then hitting the ball into one of these deep bunkers, and then hopefully you don't end up under the lip. That's those really dark brown areas there, because then you're in a world of hurt if that happens to you. Okay, so let's look at where we're likely to hit this shot. And I haven't even loaded the hole yet, have I? So let me come back and do that. Number 14. Okay, so this is par 5. The pin's at 630, left 15. Let's take a look at what our wind is before we do anything. Oh, an 11. So we're not going to have any wind at all on this. That takes some of the complication out of it. So we'll just go ahead and close that. I do have another momentum I could use. I don't generally like to use them on par 5s because it can be a little bit of a waste. Let's look at the hole notes here. So first putts from on or short of the red line, which you can no longer see. That's obviously, it runs across the front of the green there. Or read results one column longer. Aiming is allowed on all second shots, even if not going for the green or the ball is short-sighted. And we can use the layup tool for that if we need to do that. All right, so I'm aiming 50 left. I just am. I'll lose some distance here, of course. And I could end up in a deep bunker. But here goes. We'll roll these dice. 12, not a great number. 22. So we actually hit on the center line. I mean, this is crazy, right? I mean, where else but Birthplace, right? You aim 50 left and you end up on the center line. But thankfully, the center line is in the fairway at that distance, okay? And then we'll get 25 roll. So, I mean, in some ways, that's the ideal shot, but it's certainly, you're holding your breath till you see how that all works out. So we'll put the 25 in there. Update. And fairway. Right. Okay, let's look at the wind for the second shot. .26. No wind. Wonderful. Close it out here. Okay, so we can aim on this shot if we want to. We're on the center line, so we have a good angle, no matter what, no matter where that pin location is. We're way too far, 355. We're never going to reach the green there. If I was short-sighted, for example, and I tried to aim and put a number in here, what it would tell, this would turn red and tell me, it would give me a warning. It's not going to prevent me from doing anything, but it would give me a warning, saying, hey, you're trying to aim and you're short-sighted. What's going on here? Just the way around that, if it happens, is before you put your numbers in here, or number whatever it is in whichever box, just click this layup box, okay, and that'll turn off the warning feature there, and then you can go ahead without that as a distraction. Okay, but we don't need to use this on this particular shot. I want to see what it's going to take for us to get over those deep bunkers that are at the right of your screen there. That looks like they go to about 510. So I'm going to put 510 up here in the distance calculator and saying I got to hit the ball at least 235 in the air to get over that. And I am going to want to aim to the right, actually, so I can get a good angle. Remember, the pin is on the left side of the center line, so I'm going to want to aim right. Let's see what 235, 4 with 240, barely clears it. But if it goes right, we've got a little bit less of an issue because that deep bunker doesn't extend as far towards the hole on the right side of the center line there. So we'll use a 4 wood, and I'm going to aim. I'll lose 5 yards if I aim too much, and I don't certainly want to hit it out of bounds down there. Let's see. Well, I still would probably be able to work the ball even if I didn't get it over the center line to the right. But so I'm going to aim 10 to the right. That may be a little bit conservative there. Maybe 15 would be the smarter play on my part. Yeah, let me do 15. I'll sacrifice a little distance here. Hopefully I won't pay for it. Okay, 4 wood. No wind. Take the shot. 16. Goodness. Another 11. So we know that's not a good number. All right. So this ends up going left, 5, 10, 15 left. I think I've just missed this deep bunker, though. All right, so 5, 10 is here, and then 15, 1, 2, 3. I do. I end up hitting regular rough. And so instead of 15 roll, I'm only going to get 10 roll right there. But I do miss that deep bunker. You may not be able to see it quite as well. I'm happy to zoom in a little bit closer for you to be satisfied. I'm not taking liberties there. So the ball hits right here, okay, and then goes 10 more in that direction. And only 10 because I landed in the rough. All right, so we're at 520, left 15. And in the fairway. How about there? Okay. Let's see what wind we got here. .32 is -5. All right, so our carry objective is going to be 120. We can certainly work the ball. So in the 3, 120, and that's going to roll back 5. So that would leave us a little bit short. But, in some ways that's okay. At least it would put the ball on the green. I don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to do a sand wedge. I'm going to work the ball left. Oh, I don't know. 15. I often don't work at the same distances I'd really like it to aim up because there's almost always some adjustment. But occasionally these things cancel each other out. Okay, so what did I say? Sand wedge, yeah. And we'll just select that, not knocking it down. I'll just take the shot. So 62 in the I column is a 5, so it's going to be well short. And then a 63 is a 16 in the I column. And we'll take that shot, and the ball ends up at 620, left 15. Yeah, so we just hit it short. And then we're going to probably roll back some here. So 630, 620 would be 2 there. And then, yeah, we lose 5 there. But we got past that red line that's there, because that red line is the one, if you're putting from on or short of that red line, then you have to add some distance in terms of how you read the putt. So I'm gonna be, 3 straights away, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 3 straights away there. 36 feet for a birdie opportunity, and I'll play it safe with Rose at that distance. Okay, jump over to the putting boards. 25 is a 14. That's a good number for that roll. 14, 36 is 2 feet away. And to par, 15 is an 8, and that is in. Okay. So at 5 under here, still doing pretty well. Let's play hole number 15. Back this out for you. This is going to be a par 4. Go ahead and load the hole. Now this hole is one that you want to play on the left side as well. Birthplace, if you know, I said this I think in the last video. You know, you like to have an odd number in the W column for your average wood number. That gives you a big advantage on Birthplace, because oftentimes where you need to be to avoid trouble is on the left side of that center line. Okay, so 15, we'll enter that in. Let's see what our wind is before we do anything. $12. I don't think we got any wind. No. Yeah, we're good. No wind. Don't have to worry about it. Our hole note up here, ball's landing, rolling onto a red crosshairs, rolled nearest point in sand trap. Okay, well, that's the only place that comes into play is right up here on the left front of the green. So we'll worry about that on our next shot if need be. And zoom in here so we can plan the first shot, the tee shot. Okay. So you can see all those wind bushes there on the right. You know, you got to hit the ball, 35, 40 yards at least to get into trouble over there. Well, with one exception, up around 270. Looks like it's a little bit closer. There's a bush there. But, we see that Rose is certainly capable of hitting wild tee shots. But it's much, it's much cleaner here on the left side, right? We do have some rough right there, but I'm aiming for this general area. So I'm going to aim. I think I'm going to aim 40 left instead of 50. That'll save us 5 yards in terms of distance. And again, Caddie thinks I'm trying to click on a different box. Okay, 40 left. All right, driver, we got that selected. Take the shot. 35 is a 4, so he got his average W. I'm not going to take it. That way we'll come back some to the right. So that shot goes 255, left 25. We just cleared that big bunker there. So that's going to be left 25 right there. We just hit right over it. And then we get 20 rolls. So we're going to end up right there. Yep. I'm happy with that. Oh, we're going to put the roll in. 275, left 25, and record the shot. And let's take a look at what we got coming up here. Oh, I didn't put the pin ball marker there. So we're at 2. I'll back it out a little bit more for you so you can see. Here we go. All right. So we got a couple of deep bunkers here, one behind the green, and then this one over here with the red crosshairs on the front left of the green. hopefully we can put that ball in there without worrying about either of those. Let's see what we get here for our wind. $53. The wind has been a little bit crazy today, right? Sometimes we've had a lot of wind, sometimes we've had no wind. Minus 10 carry. Continue. So our carry objective is 210. We'll get some roll with that. Let's see what club we want here. Average W4, 195. Yeah, probably a 4-iron. Let's go with a 4-iron. I can aim to the right. Why not? Let's just aim 5 to the right. Take the shot. 45 is a 5. The shot's going to go to the left. It's a good thing we aimed a little bit to the right, I guess. Take that shot. And it goes 450 right on the center line. So 10, 20, 4. That's 450 right there. Yep. And how much roll do we get? Oh, we only get 10 roll, right? So we're going to be pretty far away here. You know, we just got a lower number. And I was playing it conservatively anyway. So we're 1 straight and 1 diagonal away. Let me get rid of that 1. Put it, for whatever reason, it went into that box. Calculate 29 feet for a birdie opportunity. It's interesting, the ball on green tool seems to be one that takes quite a while to register. Okay, 29 feet. That's this column right here. He's got a 1 to 7. There's a chance of making it. He's, you know, sometimes I look at some of the numbers like, so for a 33, he's got a 6. Okay, so that would be in if we get that, if we roll that number, but if we play it safe, it's not going to be in. It's only going to be numbers 1 to 3. 22, which is usually a better number than a 33 for a putt, that's going to be in. 44 is going to be a 7. He's got a couple more chances of making it if we actually go for it. Now, of course, he could end up 3-putting. That's the trade-off, right? But let's go for it. What the heck? 64 is not going to be great. 23, come down here. He left it 5 feet away, which is kind of the distance at which you're likely to 3-putt. I mean, 5 feet and farther out. Certainly, you can 3-putt with closer putts, but 5 feet, you kind of are getting into the danger zone, particularly with major tournament putting boards. Now, if we had played it safe, he'd only be a couple feet away, I'm sure. What's a 23 down here? Oh, you go, well, actually, it would only be 4 feet away. So, a foot difference in that particular example. All right, we'll put the 5 in here. Let's putt it. And that's a horrible number. He may actually 3-putt this. He is a 26 from 5 feet. He did. I got greedy and paid for it. He left it a foot away. Well, that's what I get. 36 is a 24, and that's in. You can see why I play pretty conservatively most of the time. It doesn't usually pay off for me when I take those kind of gambles, but that's the fun of the game, right? You don't know what's going to happen, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. All right, corner of the dike, hole number 16. Let's go ahead and load this hole. We've got a road and some out of bounds area here that we have to worry about on the right. Okay, 16. And we've avoided the wind bushes here. I'll talk about them on the next hole and the deep bunkers if we don't end up in one here. So it's not all coming down to the 18th here. Well, we do have a bounce back that we can use here, a bogey. Let's see what the wind's going to do to us on this hole. Well, maybe I should show you the hole first. Okay, here's what we're looking at here. So, the pin placement is actually on the left, so that works not to our favor because almost certainly we're going to be short-sighted unless his bounce back. Now, actually, I say that, but because I can use that bounce back point, I maybe can put him on the right side. I just don't know if even with that bounce back point, we could end up out of bounds over there, if depending on what this wind looks like. So now I'll take a look at the wind. We're really hoping for no wind, and we get a 65. Okay, so a 65 is going to be some wind. A 65 is going to be minus 20. Doesn't blow us right or left, but it's going to take distance off, and we really needed the distance to be able to hit it out there far enough to avoid that road in the out of bounds area. Yeah. So here's what I'm talking about. So 265 would, if I took his bounce back point, a 265 now becomes a 245, and a 245, okay, goes here, and even if I take the 5 yards off, I mean that's a. Let me see if that 245. Technically, that does miss it. It is just a little bit above that. The grid line is just a little bit above. Let's see. It is just 240, and farther down the course, it is just above by a hair that dotted line there, which is the out of bounds marker or boundary. So I think we can get away with this. I mean, it's pretty lucky that we can do it, and given all the other factors involved here. So we'll take this. I'll hit a driver, put the 4 in here, take the average W, reduce it by 5. So this should put us at 245, right 10. There we go, 245, right 10. And we'll get our full 20 yards roll there. So it's 265, right 10. I mean, but you can see, we're dancing a tight wire there. Let me zoom in. See this a little bit better. See, I mean, that's just above that dotted line there. And now you can see that we've got a good angle for that second shot. And we've also got, some added putting difficulty. First putts on green from on or short of the red line read results 2 columns longer. Okay, and then double any remaining distance after such first putt. Well, yeah, you don't want to be. We don't want this next shot to end up short of that red line. That would not be good. And in fact, we got to hit it past that red line. So with that in mind, let's see what we got going on here. Oh, I need to update the shot. Yeah, so update it. We're in the fairway. Let's see what the wind is. There we go. So the wind roll, oh my goodness, it's 66. Oh. The dice gods are awake again and having fun at my expense. Minus 20 on the carry. So that takes a carry objective of 150 and makes it a 170. We can aim right. I'm going to aim right 5 though instead of 10. Just I don't want to end up in that deep bunker if that ball ends up short and gets blown up, more to the right. Playing a little bit conservatively now that I got burned on the last hole. 173 column here is a 7-iron, and that doesn't roll back any. I mean, I could pin seek on this if I wanted to. Well, that would be more fun, wouldn't it? And it'd give me a chance to show you what you need to do if we do end up on that red line. Yeah, I wouldn't normally do this, but I'm actually going to do this. So let's pin seek. I'm going to go. I don't want to go right anyway. I had that wrong. I want to go 10 left. All right, so we've matched that. I'm going to hit a 7-iron. Not knocking anything down. Let's just see if we can hit the pin here. 13 is a 4, which is going to be short. So if you're rooting against me, you're going to get your wish. All right, here we go. 4-10 left 5. So that's going to be right on the line here, and it ended up right on that red line. Okay. Yep. And that's going to be only one diagonal away, but we're going to have to deal with that whole note. All right, 12 feet. So the first putt from the green on or short of the red line read results 2 columns longer. All right, so what that means, let me put the ball in the green here to record that shot. You know, at some point I may just start typing the word green in here because that is all it really needs, and that's taking too long. Okay, so remember this putting distance of 12. All right, we'll go over here, and it'll show up over here too. But so 12. So we've got to read it 2 columns longer. So this is the column we would normally use, but because of that whole note, we actually have to go 1, 2 over. So we have to putt from this distance. Now that doesn't mean we have to go for it, right? We could play it safe if we want to. I'm not gonna, but we could play it safe, and come down here. You know, essentially do the same thing down here. But I'm going to go for it. So we'll putt. But then I'm going to have to double that distance, aren't I? Yeah. No, I am going to play it safe. Let me play it safe. 26 is an 18. So an 18 from, what did I say? From here is 2 feet away. So it's actually going to be 4 feet away. So I'm looking at this 2, and I'm doubling it to make it a 4. And now we take this putt. That's a 46. That's a 26. It's not good for anything other than a par or worse. And this is for a par, so it's in. Okay, good thing I played it safe on that one. All right, let's move on to hole number 17. This is, as I mentioned, this is the hardest hole on the course. And in part, that's because the green is sort of sandwiched up close to an out-of-bounds area and a road. And it's a little bit longer. So hole 17. All right, let's take a look at the hole. The road course, aptly named. Back this out. Put the pin marker here. It's going to be a little bit left of the center line. Okay, now we'll back this out. All right. And we got a gentle dog leg there. We're not going to be affected by that. But you can see the huge amount of out of bounds. You know, if you hit a short tee shot, it can be a problem that goes, you know, well right. And of course, it can be a problem as you're hitting your second shot to get the ball on the green. So let's see what the wind is. We got a bunch of hole notes too that we have to deal with. Most of them have to do with what happens once you get up around the green area. So we'll just park that until that time. Okay, 54. All right, so we got some wind here. It's going to be a minus 15. All right, so he hits a driver. It's a 4. So that 265 essentially becomes a 250. Zoom in here again. Let's see better what that actually translates to. All right, so 250 is right here. And if we go 35 yards right, we're going to end up on the road and out of bounds if we go farther than that, right? So, the road actually stops the ball and it plays as sand per the hole note. But I don't like to take any chances of that happening. So I'm going to aim, I think, 25 to the left and try to hit the ball up here. And if I run into rough here, that's not great. It might be intermediate rough depending on where that ball ends up. But if I hit a 4-wood, I'm almost certainly going to be fine. But that makes for then a much longer second shot where accuracy counts. So I'm going to hit a driver. I'm going to hit the ball 25 left. So I'm clicking on these things, but the game caddy's not recognizing it there. Okay. The reason I'm not selecting 30 left is I don't want to lose 10 yards here. I'm okay to lose 5, but I want to lose 10. All right, let's just see what happens here. 65 is a 5. Take that shot. So this ball goes 240 left 40. 10. Oh, this is going to be 30, right? I remember that. So and that's 40. And then we're going to roll 20. 10, 20. All right. So I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish on that. I hit it over there in the fairway and stayed out of the rough in any trouble. We don't really have a wind bush on this hole to worry about, but we do have a deep bunker. You may not be able to see it yet. There is a deep bunker up there on the left side of the green. We could end up in that. And I'll talk about deep bunkers here. In fact, let me talk about them right now. So the deep bunkers on this course are what you do if you find yourself in one is described in the separate set of instructions that comes with Birthplace or that you can get from APBA in the form of a PDF. Just download it from their website. And I'm not going to get into all the specifics of what you do unless I actually end up in that deep bunker and I have to actually go through it. But if it's a deep bunker that's in the fairway, you're going to be using the I column to hit out of that. And you're depending on what the shot result number is, the PRN result is, you could end up with the ball not getting out of the bunker, in which case then you have to play it as if it is under the lip and you have to play aggressively. Of course, anytime you're in these deep bunkers, whether it's a fairway bunker or greenside bunker, you have the option of playing safe. What I was describing was playing aggressively. And when you play safe out of the green bunker, when you play safe out of a deep bunker, you're basically just rolling one die and then moving that number of squares away from whatever wherever the lip is. So I'll come back here and I'll show you the lip. So you can see it pretty clearly on this one here. The lip is here, so you would hit, if you're playing safe, you'd hit away from that. You'd hit in this direction, which is the direction you want to hit in anyway, right? But you're rolling a die, so you're only going to go the number of squares that die is in this direction. And sometimes the lip is on the side that you want to be going, and so then you got to hit backwards essentially from the direction that you want to be going. And the numbers differ, but the principle is the same with greenside bunkers. as well. You have in that situation, if you have to hit your shot from the same location, and with the greenside bunkers, you have to consider the lie is under the lip, and you have to play aggressively, hitting out of there. When it comes to choosing your lie and recording it, you actually have to choose one of the ones that are in the right hand column, and I'll show you the next time that comes up what I'm referring to. My whole point is that you don't want to be in the deep bunkers if you can at all avoid them, because it's possible that you can't get out of them, and you have to take some extra steps, all of which the game caddy can handle. But it's going to cause your score to go up. So stay out of those deep bunkers whenever possible. All right, let's take a look at what Rose is facing here. Okay, let's look at the wind. .65. So 65 is going to lose 20 yards. You can see how this could be one of the toughest holes, right, on this course, especially when the wind is working against you here. We may not even reach the green at this point, which can create some other situations up here. But so 255, 4 wood, 4 column is a 240. It's probably only going to get like 10 roll, especially with soft conditions, if that. So we may not reach the green. We may end up in those other bunkers that are just regular sand traps. But I'm just gonna hit it. Hope this ball goes straight. 45 is a 5. So we're going to come up short here, I'm pretty sure. So 465 left 10. This ball actually hits on the green, I think. Yeah, that looks to be on the green. So 465 left 10, and we get 10 roll. So that is the red line that I am on. Let's see. I hit short of the yellow line, but I'm not. The yellow line doesn't go all the way across the green. I'm going to zoom in for you so you can really see close up what I'm talking about here. All right. All right. So at the 470 yard mark, there is a yellow line that runs perpendicular to the center line, and it's even hard for me to see looking at it, let alone looking at it on a monitor. But that line goes from 5 left of the center line over here to what looks to be about 20 right of the center line, and it just covers the green area. But it doesn't extend to 10 left, and that's where our ball is. So we hit in this spot right here, but that's not part of that yellow line. It's not in front of that yellow line. The yellow line is 5 yards over farther to the right. But we do roll on to the red line. So I'm going to look at what it says here in terms of the red line. So shots landing on the green on or left of the red line roll another 5 yards left. So what we need to do is we just simply need to push this ball back here one space to the left. That ball is still on the green, and this particular line doesn't affect any putting, other than it pushes you 5 yards farther to the left. But it's not like you have to read 2 columns over or anything like that. So if we look at where we are from the pin placement, it looks to be 2 diagonals away. That's where we are. And you notice that, whenever you're on the green, you don't have to update shots or do any of that stuff using the update arrow. Just use the putting caddy. We're 2 diagonals away. It doesn't need to know that we rolled 5 left. It just needs to know how many straights and diagonals away we are. So I hit the calc button. 32 feet, ball on green. Okay. Come on, ball on green tool. All right, there we go. So we'll go over here to the putting boards. Play it safe from 32 feet. 54 is a 31 in the P column. So he still leaves it 7 feet away. Wow. Not good. We'll go for it from 7 feet. 24, that's not a good number. That's going to be a 28. So he's leaving it now 4 feet away. He could 4-putt here. I've had as much as a 5-putt. 22. Why didn't you give me that the first time? Okay, that's a 4. That's in. Okay. So double. No. Let's see. Instead of birdieing the hole, he ends up with a bogey on the hole. 5 strokes. Okay, and this last hole we'll talk about wind bushes. Okay. Birthplace. Transfer hole. Number 18. All right, and unfortunately we end up leaving a momentum on the table, but nothing we can do about that now. This is the Tom Morris hole. Oh, and I'm way back out here. Okay. We got some roads on this one too, and some out of bounds over here on the right. This is a par 4. It's a relatively short par 4, which can make it a little bit tricky because you can leave yourself, depending on where the pin placement is, where you can't work the ball. That's going to be less of an issue today because we're just 5 off the center line. But you get some of those pin placements that are way up over there to the left, like pin 4. You have to kind of do what we did on hole 1 last time we played. Let's see what the wind's going to do for us. .33 is a -10. All right. So I'm going to hit a driver, and I'm going to aim 30 to the left. Let's just do it. Oh, we got one whole note here that has to do with purple crosshairs up around the green, and that's in the front left of the green. I'm just going to bring this in there a little bit more so that you can see where the shot's likely to land. So I'm kind of aiming for that area up there to the left of the center line, and that'll give me a good angle if it goes over there. 42 is a 4, and again, because I was aiming so far left, I'm not going to take the average W. Just take the shot here, and that ball carries 245 left 15, and then we get 20 rolls. 10, 20. That ball ends up right there. Put in the adjusted roll in the fairway. And what we don't want to do again is end up on or rolling over those purple crosshairs, because that's going to, it's sort of like an incline to the green from the left side, and if you get on that incline, then your ball rolls away from where we want to go. See what the wind does to us. The suspense is killing me. 62. Okay, 62 is a minus 25 left. So it's taking us in the wrong direction. All right. Okay, so we can use the approach caddy for this. But again, we got to kind of factor in, what the wind is doing to the ball. So it's because we got a good angle. It's targeting it's putting in the pin coordinates as the targeted location. But if we just left things alone, that ball, if hit perfectly, would go 320 to the center line, which is be in the middle of the fairway, rather than in the green on the green. So we don't want that. So let's add 20 here, and that 340 then becomes a 360. Okay, so now our targeted point is essentially it's 360 right 5, but where it will end up is at 340 right on the center line. And again, I'm happy to pin seek on this since we can. There's not a lot of trouble over there to the right. So if I change this to a 10 right, that'll change this to a 5 right. So now we've got this matching up with this. And because this is a constant wind, the effects are predictable. We know that this is going to happen for sure. If you had a variable wind, it would be a different situation, but we don't have that on Birthplace at all. So this is our target, and that means our call distance now is 100. So we're going to come over here to 75 to 100, click on Roll Dice. 65 is a 4 in the A column. Take the shot. So the shot ends up at 345. Right 10. So I think we're going to be a diagonal away, right? So this is 340, 345, right 10. Yep. And we avoided those purple crosshairs. So we're just one diagonal away. Put that in. I mean, that's a makeable putt. It's not ideal, right? But it's makeable. All right, ball on green. And players to putting board. 14 feet, we'll go for it. Let's end this with a nice birdie putt. What do you say, Justin? 61 is a 16 from 14 feet. It's in. Whoa! Terrific putt. Fantastic way to end the round. It's shots like that that keep you coming back out to play another day. All right. I'm excited about that. So, yeah, we got our birdie 3, a fairway, a green, and 1 putted. And, he ended the day with a total of 29 putts. Now, that's not what I would call outstanding. Of course, we had this, 3 putt here. That didn't help matters. And we had this 3 putt here. If those two things hadn't happened, and one of them happened because I got greedy, he would have ended up with, something more like 28 or 27 putts, which is pretty good on Birthplace. I would say this is maybe a little bit, this is a C plus, maybe a B minus on Birthplace. But 100% fairways. When's the last time you played a round of golf and saw that? 83% greens in regulation. Okay. Longest drive was only 295. Longest putt was that last one at 14 feet. And a total length of putts of 81.5 feet. And that half a foot, again, comes from the tap in, right? So a tap in is a half a foot by default in the game caddy. You're welcome to change that if you want, but that's what it is. All right, so that was a lot of fun. I didn't end up talking about wind bushes, though, did I? So let me do that real quick. So a ball that goes into a wind bush doesn't roll. So think of it as like going into a tree. Think of, and when you go to record the lie, record it as tree stymied, okay? But you don't necessarily play it that way. But the game caddy needs to know what it is, and so record it as tree stymied. And then what you do when that player it's time for them to play their next shot, you roll the dice, the APBA dice, right? And a roll of 11 to 22 means that ball is unplayable or it's a lost ball. Now I'm quoting from the actual instructions that come from APBA. Now I have to tell you, to me that doesn't make sense, because how you would handle an unplayable lie is different than how you would handle a lost ball. So I'm going to say it's your choice in terms of how you proceed. If that ball is an unplayable lie, you would drop that ball within 5 yards of where it was unplayable, no closer to the hole. A lost ball, by rule, PGA rule anyway, you would re-hit that shot from the point of origin, right? So I think the intent here, based on other instructions that are included with Birthplace, I think the intent here is that you play it as an unplayable lie, not as a lost ball. So I would ignore that part of it. But again, that's only if you get a roll of 11 to 22. And then you'd move the ball to the nearest point away from that bush, never forward, and then you would count a penalty stroke, just the way that you would count a penalty stroke if you hit the ball in the water. Use record it as a PE, and when you get a chance to record the lie. And then all other results on that roll are playable. But again, you roll then for the playing it safe, but you have to play it back to the center line. So what I'm trying to say is, let me go to the game caddy. It's a little easier to point it out to you. So if you hit into a wind bush and you get a roll where the ball is actually playable, you can't hit it. You can't drop it and hit it as you would any other shot that has an unplayable lie. You actually have to use the play safe tool here and hit it back towards the center line once you get a chance to take that shot. All right, hopefully that was clear. And again, there are instructions that APBA provides that it spells that out in more detail if my explanation wasn't altogether clear for you. Okay, so let's wrap this up. I'm going to come over to the splash screen here. Invite you to go over to the Game Caddy channel. If you need some tutorials on how to handle certain things, you can find that here on YouTube. Not to be confused with this channel, which is the Game Caddy Play channel. And then, of course, the Game Caddy website, where there's all kinds of posts I've put up and some other people have put up about playing with the Game Caddy and some other things that are APBA Golf related. If you want to get a free copy of the Game Caddy, email me, Scott Moeller at smoeller9@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to get that out to you. Until next time, grip it and rip it.